Ladies and gentlemen, with welcoming Mr. Irving Fryar and Mr. Brent Jones. Would you come forward, please? I wanted to get them up here before I noted this quote from Coach Lombardi because I think that they represent exactly what he was referring to. We've all heard the statement about life being cyclical. Picture this statement was made back in the 1960s, and picture where we are today with some of the problems we're seeing worldwide, nationally, locally, in families, and wherever. Coach Lombardi, in a room much like this, spoke in those turbulent times and said, "It is becoming increasingly difficult to be tolerant of a society which has sympathy only for the misfits, the maladjusted, the criminal, the loser. Have sympathy for them, yes. Assist them, absolutely. But I think it's time we stood and cheered the doer, the leader, the winner, someone who looks for something extra to do for his God, his family, his community, his team." He's talking about these two men here today because the word football is not mentioned in there anywhere. He's talking about what they live and how they behave, how they comport themselves away from the football field. So it's a great deal of pleasure to present this award to you guys at this time.
Thank you very much. Boy, that's a heavy one right there. It is quite an honor to be here today, and I have to say, I was very surprised when I got the phone call from Bart here last week or two, and so excited just to get a chance to talk to a living legend. I was really excited, and I told them growing up that my dad was a football coach, and when I was 6 years old, he was the very first professional athlete that I admired and was a role model. And my dad was actually coaching a team with the Packers colors, and he brought me home my very first jersey. It was number 15, and got a Green Bay decal and stuck it on one of the helmets. And at 6 years old, I wanted to be Bart Starr. And my dad, thank you. My dad, who was a quarterback in college and was drafted actually by the Raiders and never actually had an opportunity to play, had some insight, and he really wanted me to be a quarterback. And so 6 years old, he had me rolling out to my right, and he told me, "Son, anybody can roll out to their strong arm side. I want you to be able to roll out to your left too." So I was winging the ball as a 6- and 7-year-old, and I wish I would have stuck with that, Bart. Those quarterbacks are doing pretty darn good these days. And it's quite ironic to think that the very first professional athlete that I knew as a child was Bart Starr, and culminating my career here after announcing my retirement. And Bart, I just want to thank you for the man of integrity that you are, what you've done for your community, and what you've done for the league and the players, but more importantly, what you've done at home with your wife and your family. And Cherry, I had a chance to spend some time with you before, and what a sweet lady, and I just admire you so much. And I know that you are the rock behind Bart, and I would just like to thank you guys so much. And I do have a few comments, and I really do have to mention that prayer before the meal this morning. What a prayer by Miles McPherson. I have never quite heard anything that long. They asked me, Miles, if you could keep it a little shorter next time. They said if you could just go about the same time as your football career, it'd be great. In fact, quite honestly, Miles did play safety for the San Diego Chargers, and I do have to tell the story real quick. We were going against him in a game, and I hadn't heard of Miles McPherson, so you're kind of sizing up your opponent before the game, and I was checking him out, and he was backpedaling and covering some receivers, and he didn't trip over his feet or get spun around by a great move or fall on his behind. He saved that for the game. But but we went out against the Chargers, and of course we had the vaunted 49er passing attack, and it just warms my heart to know that, Miles, that God used me to help get you into ministry. Yeah, Miles, did you think that I was going to, a 12-year veteran and had the microphone last, that I wasn't going to get it? Oh, wow. That's why you played for the Chargers and I played for the 49ers. I forgot I was in San Diego. Holy. I'm just kidding. As much as Cherry is meant to Bart, I know my wife is here, and she wanted to be at the head table with me today. My two daughters are here as well, and she's with them as well. But she has done so much for me, both on and off the field. She should write a book for wives on how to take care of their husbands. She has made it spectacular from the day we met throughout the NFL and all the pressures and time demands and all the things that go along with that. She has been my rock, and I just want to recognize her. Dan, would you stand up, please? And also the great support of my two beautiful daughters, Rachel and Courtney, who, Bart, I have to be honest with you, it took a while to explain to them that Bart Starr was a good Green Bay Packer. Those terms are not synonymous in my household. So they finally realized that. You know, it's funny because since announcing my retirement, I've had a lot of great questions posed to me. A lot of people want to know what I'm going to do, and I kind of am curious too. But one of the things that people ask is, with announcing your retirement, what did you take away from the game? And I've thought about that a lot lately, and you have 3 Super Bowl rings and Pro Bowls and All-Pro and all the things and all the relationships. But I think more important than what you took away from the game, thinking about it, is what did you give back to the game and the fans and the community? What type of person were you on the field? Encouraging your teammates, being a leader in the locker room, being a man of integrity, a man of character? What type of guy were you off the field? In the community, working with ministries and charities, the fans, the older fans, and the children that are becoming fans? What type of role model were you? Did you leave a legacy of being a role model? And lastly, was Jesus modeled in your life? You know, when I became a Christian in 1979, the most important thing to me was to model Jesus in my life. And it's been a wild ride. It's been great. When I became a Christian, I had no idea what was in store for me, and it's been an exciting ride. A lot of ups and downs, some injuries, some adversity, but a lot of joy and a lot of great success. And I just want you to know that it is very much an honor for me to be accepting an award named after a man that exemplifies these character qualities in his life, and just to think that I was voted this award on some of those same qualities. It's a tremendous honor to me, and I'd like to thank AIA and Wendell and all they've done. Over the years, I was at the very first prayer breakfast, and it's really grown. It's been tremendous, and I think part of that reason is because of the man that they've named this award after. Bart, thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Brent. This is a special honor at this time because this gentleman has done so much in his life in recent years. He has become the leader that we had talked about earlier, and it is a joy at this time to present the dual winner this year to Mr. Irving Fryar. Congratulations, Irving.
Wow. Thank you, Bart Starr and Cherry Starr. My wife loves that name, Cherry. Isn't that nice? Just rolls off the tongue, Cherry. Before I begin, I have to ask my wife to stand. Jackie, will you stand? And I know everybody sees you sitting here, but I don't know if you know what it takes to be an NFL player's wife, or to be particularly my wife. But in the Bible, it says a man who finds a wife finds a good thing, and she is my good thing. She has been there for me day in and day out. She's bore my children. She's put up with my mess, my moments of silence, my moments of stress, and for those of you that don't know, she is one of the main reasons that I'm able to stand here today and accept this great, prestigious award. I want to thank Athletes in Action for considering me. When we got the phone call from Bart Starr, Jackie got a chance to talk to him first, and she let me know about it, and we both were ecstatic about what was happening. I'm a guy who, early in my career, would not have been considered for this award. And when I look and take the time out to think about what this award stands for, I have to give all the credit to God. I don't think that it's important to God that it matters how many touchdowns I catch, or how many passes I catch, or how many games I win. I don't think it matters in our lives, those goals in the big realm of things. I think what matters is how we live our lives, what decisions we make, what choices we make. If we make bad choices, how we correct those bad choices, how we correct the mistakes in our lives. And I think back on earlier in my career, I was a guy who got involved with drugs. I took advantage of that, and I took advantage of alcohol, and I abused both of them. I was a guy who was not a leader in my home. In fact, a point in my life, my home was falling apart. I almost lost my wife and my children. And, you know, as I think about this award, and I think about why I'm able now to catch 86 balls in a year, to still run a 4.3 40, to have over 1,300 yards in my 14th year of professional football, I think back on why I'm able to be a leader in the community and a leader in the locker room, and to be a good father and a good husband. I think about why I'm able to do that, and I have to give all the praise and glory to Jesus Christ. As Brent said, my life has not been the same since I've accepted the Lord into my life, and things have just escalated for me, and God has done a wonderful work with me and through me, and he's just enabled me to touch people and to talk to people and be an example for him. That moment that happened was in a jail cell. I gave my life to Christ in a jail cell at the lowest point in my life, and if I can take a moment, those of you that know me, I'm a preacher, so it's dangerous to give a preacher a mic. But I just want to tell a little story out of the Bible. I'm going to sit down. I don't have any football stories or anything like that, because like I said, I think it's important how we live our lives, not the things that we accomplish or the things that we strive for in life. What we need to strive for is excellence in living and morals and values. But there's a story in the Bible, and it's a story about the prodigal son. And I believe that I tell this story wherever I go, because I believe that there's prodigal in each and every one of us. And prodigal means wasteful and reckless. And those of you that don't know the story of the prodigal son, it's about a boy who goes to his father, and he asks his father for the portion of the inheritance that's his ahead of time. And the father gives it to him. And the boy goes out in the streets and cities and wastes the inheritance, wastes his time, and really makes a big mess of things. And in the Bible, Jesus is telling the story of the prodigal son, and he's using God as an example, the father as an example of what God is like, or who God is. And he's using the boy, the prodigal son, as an example of who we are. And I love the story because I was a prodigal. I was a person who had it all and went out and wasted it. But the reason that I'm able to stand here today and able to talk and able to accept this award and be gracious about it, and I'm able to have a family and have a wife and be successful in the things that I do, is because I've been able to understand what God is like. And I think that's something that keeps all of us from going forward in our lives, is we don't understand what really God is like. And Jesus goes on to tell the story of the prodigal son. He says the boy winds up in a hog pen, feeding pigs and eating slop. That was the lowest point of his life. And he comes to his senses, and he gets up out of the pig pen, and he begins to go back home. And that was a hard thing for him to do, I'm sure, because he had messed up. He had really done some bad things. He embarrassed himself, his family, and all of those that loved him. He decided to get up and go back to his father, God, as Jesus would explain it. And this is what I've understood about God, and this is what has enabled me to continue to go forward in times of stress and frustration. It's enabled me to be encouraged in times that, and able to deal with the stressful things of life. It says that the father, was standing on the porch, and he saw his son coming, trying to get back home from way off. And it didn't say that he stood there and waited for the son to get back to the house. It said he stood on the porch, and he saw him from way off, and he ran off of the porch. And when he got to his boy, he threw his arms around him and kissed him. And for those of you that don't know what God is like, that's what God is like. God doesn't wait for us to get all the way to him. He doesn't wait for us to make it all the way back. He sees us struggling, and he sees us make an effort to get to him. And that's what I was doing in my life. I was struggling in my life. I had a lot of problems in my life, but I made an effort in that jail cell to get to God. And God ran off the porch, and he threw his arms around me, and he kissed me, like the father did to the prodigal son. And that's what I understand about God. I understand that God is a waiting God. He's a loving God. He's a running God. He's a hugging God. He's a kissing God. He's a forgiving God. He's a merciful God. And that's what has enabled me to continue to strive for excellence, to continue to catch 86 balls a year, is because I understand what God is like. I understand that it's important to be a good father and a good husband. I understand that it's important to be a good role model in the home and in the community. I understand why I'm here, and that's to exemplify what God has instilled in me, to be a gracious and merciful person, a person who's understanding, who's patient, a person who gives back. Thank you all. God bless you all. I want you to repeat this after me, if you would. Can you do this for me real quick? Are you there? I told my wife this morning, we came in late last night, and there were people all over the place. People out in the lobby and people all over the street. And when we got up this morning, there was nobody in the lobby. And I looked at my wife and I said, they're all dead. They stayed up too late and they drank too much. But repeat this after me, if you will, and I'll take my seat. If everyone were like me, what kind of world would this be? Thank you very much.
Ladies and gentlemen, how about let's stand and applaud these two very special winners here today.